Okay, imagine opening your window tomorrow morning, and the world has completely changed overnight. The sky isn't just noisy anymore, it's full of distinct, entirely understandable voices. What if we suddenly unlocked the ability to understand bird communication? This wouldn't just be some fun magic trick, it would trigger a massive, fundamental shift in how we interact with the entire planet.
Because what if the birds around you were never just birds? Seriously, think about that tiny sparrow sitting on a telephone wire, or that crow just staring at you from the roof of your house. What if that pigeon, the one walking right beside your feet like it owns the sidewalk, has been trying to communicate with us this entire time? We simply never had the ability to understand them. They've been watching us, living right beside us, and knowing things we never even bothered to ask.
So literally overnight, that random chirping, it stops, and suddenly it's language. Not a human language, obviously, but one packed with deep meaning, rhythm, emotion, and warning. One moment the world is exactly the same as it has been for millennia, and the next, a reality completely fractures. Science, religion, farming, our entire understanding of intelligence, it would all be flipped on its head the very second we realize what these creatures are actually saying.
Let's look at the immediate, frankly mind-blowing reality of this discovery for this explainer. Once humans realize that a bird's knowledge comes from direct daily experience, from thousands of tiny real-world observations gathered over time, we would have to stop seeing them as just background decoration. They would instantly become Earth's ultimate warning system. We're talking about living, breathing intelligence networks that track our environment in ways our human technology can literally only dream of.
Just think about the practical revolution this kicks off across so many professions. Farmers could literally just ask the local flock where locusts are moving in real time. Meteorologists could learn about subtle wind changes before massive storms even start to form on human radar. Conservationists could hear first-hand accounts from migratory birds about exactly which wetlands are shrinking. And city planners, they could consult pigeons and crows to understand exactly how glass walls and traffic patterns are impacting life right there on the ground.
And this naturally builds into an unbelievable life-saving network, an avian early warning system. Because birds aren't trapped in one place, right? A single flock crossing borders acts as living sensors. They sense pressure changes, they smell smoke from a distant wildfire, or spot a predator entering the area. Then, they carry that information across regions way faster than our data systems can even process it. They'd be warning communities and preventing catastrophic accidents before our incredibly expensive human sensors even trigger an alarm.
But honestly, the real shock wouldn't even be this practical data. It would be the drama, the personalities. Birds have distinct, super vibrant cultures, massive egos, grudges, and very strong opinions. If you think human gossip is intense, just wait until you hear what the sky has to say about us.
Like talking to different species would be a total wild card. Eagles would communicate exactly as you'd probably expect. Majestic, direct, speaking with the absolute confidence of aerial kings looking down on their subjects. But on the flip side, you have hummingbirds. Despite being tiny, their communication style would totally reflect their physical reality. They'd be these frantic, chaotic geniuses who view life as one endless, high-speed, sugar-fueled race.
And then you've got the rest of the neighborhood. Crows are already known for problem solving, right? So they'd be these tiny feathered masterminds, gossiping, remembering our faces, holding deep grudges, and definitely insulting our trash habits. Pigeons would be your street-level historians narrating the city alleyways. Sparrows would spill literally every hidden drama in your suburban neighborhood. And parrots, oh man, if you have a parrot, watch out. They would become dramatic comedians, answering back, arguing, and exposing every single family secret discussed in the living room at the absolute worst possible moments.
But, okay, as funny as all that gossip would be, we do have to pivot to a really profound realization here. Birds feel. They fear, they mourn, and they celebrate. They aren't just instinct machines operating on some kind of biological autopilot. They are feeling creatures. They protect, teach, learn, and adapt. And understanding that emotional depth would fundamentally change how we, especially kids and families, relate to nature. It makes our kindness and our cruelty completely visible and totally undeniable.
Which brings us to a pretty sharp emotional punch. Imagine walking past a construction site, and a bird looks right at you and tells you directly, "We used to nest there." It's one thing to look at a boring bar chart about deforestation in a textbook. It is an entirely different, completely heartbreaking experience to have a bird look at a construction site and tell you, in its own words, that its home and family were just erased.
Or take climate change. Hearing a first-hand testimony, something like, the air is different now, the path is harder, talking about shifting migration routes, vanishing water sources, and crazy weather. That would move humans in a way that statistical graphs just never could.
Once people actually feel that direct emotional connection, conservation wouldn't just be some political talking point anymore. It would become this urgent, deeply personal global movement. Now, every huge shift brings some chaos, right? And the narrative gets a little darker here because a speaking sky means that birds see things humans desperately want kept hidden. They watch isolated roads, deep forests, garbage dumps, and private balconies. They are the living archives of our planet, and suddenly, they are also the ultimate sky spies. It absolutely forces us to ask a super uncomfortable question. What secrets have these birds actually seen? A bird perched on a tree during a quiet evening could have witnessed more human history, more secret meetings, and more illegal acts than 100 human observers combined. They see us when we think we are completely alone. If birds could talk, they might reveal things we were never, ever meant to hear.
I mean, this creates an immediate geopolitical nightmare as nations race to exploit bird communication. We'd see military spying, with nations actually training birds for surveillance. We'd have cross-border messaging, where a bird unknowingly carries state secrets right across enemy lines. And instantly, these massive ethical debates would erupt around bird privacy rights. Like, is it even ethical to force a creature into being a non-consensual messenger in our human conflicts?
Because they'd basically become these super uncomfortable truth tellers. Imagine police detectives interrogating ravens at crime scenes, or environmental agencies consulting migratory flocks to track illegal night logging. We'd be uncovering hidden corporate pollution sources because the local sparrows can literally just tell you who is dumping chemicals in the river. Birds would be incredibly dangerous to bad actors because they can't be bribed, they can't be distracted, and they can't be silenced. They would just tell the absolute truth as they saw it.
So, where does this actually leave us? What is the final lesson of this speaking sky? We have to look at the long-term, spiritual, and societal shifts of living alongside intelligent, speaking animals. This isn't just about gaining a fancy new technology or a new spy network. No, it is about an evolutionary leap in how we humans perceive our place on Earth. We're talking massive, fundamental cultural shifts here. Across history, birds have symbolized omens and souls, but now millions would view them as confirmed divine messengers. We'd see interactive nature walks and instant translation devices on our phones. City architecture would literally be redesigned to accommodate and amplified bird voices. But most importantly of all, it would completely shatter our sense of human superiority. We would finally have to admit that intelligence and perspective come in forms that don't look anything like us.
Basically, we would have to completely redefine what a bird actually is. It is no longer just an animal flying around in the background. It is a living observer, a witness, and a messenger. The incredibly humbling truth at the absolute center of this entire explainer is that birds were always talking. They were always experiencing this rich, complex, emotional world. We simply weren't listening.
I really want to leave you with this final, powerful thought. Imagine standing outside at sunrise tomorrow. A small bird lands near you, looks directly into your eyes, and you finally understand it. It doesn't give you some grand magical prophecy. It simply says, pay attention. Pay attention to the land, the water, the air, and each other before it's too late. That is the message they've always been trying to share. If we finally heard it, we wouldn't just gain a conversation partner, we would gain a whole new way of seeing the Earth. What would you do if a bird told you to pay attention tomorrow? Keep that in mind and keep looking up.